Good morning. It's Thursday, January 5th, 2023. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice Wudang Qigong. We have the foundation sets 1 through 9, and starting this new year, I'm starting with a review of movements and generally a review of what we practice, in particular today, in this Qigong class. All right, so let's get started. I have to say this because it's there. I have a set of books that I have been working on. It's a story, science fiction story that has martial arts in it. And of course it has martial arts in it. It has to. I finished it. I've been written and it's been years. I finished it. And I had, I've decided to do something with it. There's more to do. I contacted a couple of editors, and I got one person that replied back, said this is probably what it would cost to have me look at this, and fingers crossed it's going to happen. It is a fun story. It has some serious themes in it. It has some things that I teach in this class. Of course, it has to, right? I wrote it. So, as I work through the process of getting it ready to publish, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not, well, maybe it will. It will happen. In one way or another, it's going to happen. I can say that with 100% assurance. I've published other books, so I know it can happen. The way that happens is the only question. What happens after that? Yeah, well, one of the things that I'm looking at is reading it. I'm not sure that's something that anybody will want to listen to, but I'm looking at doing it as something that will help me make sure that what I have written is what would be there, should be there. Because as I read aloud, I find things that don't flow as well, don't work as well as it seemed when I was looking at it on the page. That is, and of course I'm going to connect it to what we're doing here, that is something that we find repeatedly in practice. Whatever practice we're doing, it's repeated in that, what? That what we're thinking of, what this, I've memorized this list, right? I can read this thing. What I'm actually doing, what I'm actually feeling, how that actual movement, how that actual dialogue, how that storyline, how in Qigong practice, how we connect one movement and the breath, how it flows, is something that shows up when it's read aloud. It doesn't show up when I look at it. So I'm thinking about doing that. It's a possibility. If you're interested, let me know, please, because I don't know if how I'm gonna do that, but yeah, just if you're interested, let me know. Okay, so starting feet together. Salute. Hands down to your sides. That's beginning. Feet together. Salute. start class. Now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I talked about this extensively yesterday with the idea that we're going to close the feet. We're going to be polite. And now we're going to open. What are we going to do from here? In a formal class, sink, left heel, turn the toes. Bring the right toes in, right heel, turn the toes. That's it. Now we're ready to start. This opening is for Wudang. There's Wudang Qigong, Wudang Tai Chi, my Wudang style. This is how we open. Okay. Now, there's other people have other methods, other things they've learned. I've seen some very good Shaolin fundamentals that were being practiced at a school at Wudang Shan. So there's a lot of stuff that's there. There's a lot that's available. There's a lot of different ways to do what we do. My opening for Yang style Tai Chi from Yang Jindo, from Huang Wei Lun. Pretty much the same. At this point, there's a difference. This opening versus this opening. Right? A little bit of difference. This foundation's in this class. The foundation, where am I standing? I'm pretty much feet shoulder width apart. I can find this position very easily because I practice it. It's part of my muscle memory. It's part of my habit. Developing those habits, developing the muscle memory is what we do in practice. So when we take that, oh, I read this book, or I read about this, or I read this thing over here, or I looked at this, or somebody told me this story. Because I talked to a lot of experts who've read a lot of books about how to practice and what practice should be. They can't do that practice from any of what they're trying to talk about, but they've read the book, they've read about it, they know about it. I've met a lot of those folks. I have. Practice gives us the muscle memory, the habit, and the reaction capability. We're not trying to do. It opens the body and gives us the capability to work on the movements that we're working on, to work on the art, whatever practice it is that we're working on, today Qigong, and to develop the skills that we need for that practice. As we develop the skills, the body begins to learn what it's supposed to do, so that we don't have to think about it. It's just there. The next step, as we've opened the body, quiet the mind, and allow the breath to circulate. This is Qigong practice. It is also foundation for everything else that I do. If you can't quiet the mind, if you can't stop the chitter chatter, think about this. Oh, and I gotta go shopping, and I gotta go this, gotta go here, gotta go there, gotta get this done, if you can't turn off that noise, your practice is not complete. One of the goals is to turn off that noise. How do we do that? Breathe. It really is that simple. When we practice, particularly for Qigong practice, we focus on the breath. We focus on our breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. We're paying attention to the internal mechanism for the breath, the lungs, the diaphragm, the muscles and tendons, ligaments in the back that help us to breathe. As I bring my arms up and I open my back, I can also open my lungs. I can breathe more fully and more deeply. As I pay attention to that, I'm not paying attention to other things. Right? I'm only paying attention to my breath. So I start to focus on that. Every time I start to lose that concentration, every time I start to pay attention to something else, my mind decides I'm going to, oh wait, look over there. No, look over there. Right? Yeah. I've had to deal with that for years. I do. I'm easily distracted. Every time we come back to the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. That's it. That's all that's the only thing that you're paying attention to. Everything else is part of muscle memory. You know it. You can do it without thinking about it. Now you have to learn that, and that's a part of practice, opening the body. Once you get that, once that's there, you start paying attention to only thinking about the breath. As we do that, the thoughts become concentrated and the mind becomes empty of other things. And this emptiness is not dissociative, it's creative. It's that sense that anything could be. And the potential for everything is possible. Very creative. It's not, let me check out for a few hours. No. The awareness is part of that creative sense. So I am very much aware of my surroundings. My senses are fully engaged. So visual, I'm seeing I see what's here, what's in front of me. My hearing is sometimes really too good. I'm listening to everything around me. My sense of smell tells me that, no, everything's good. The coffee in the kitchen probably needs some attention soon, but it's okay for now. My sense of touch, every time I do something with my hands and my feet being well planted on the floor, my sense of taste. As we practice, we have that buildup, we should have, a buildup of saliva in the mouth. Now, I'm talking, so there's some issue with my being able to do that while I'm talking. That's why I keep something to drink. That warm liquid helps keep my throat open, and it is my habit, so it could be warm water. The sense that as we're practicing, and this is Qigong practice again, I talk during practice, so there are limits to how much I can keep my mouth closed and talk at the same time. Inside the mouth, here's my front teeth, here's my tongue goes up and down. Right here, here's the front teeth, right up behind the front teeth, the roof of the mouth. So tongue goes up, presses up against the back of the front teeth and up against the roof of the mouth to help close the ren here. And it sets up that channel for the small heavenly circle that runs from the lower Tantian through the Huiyin, up the back, 3 gates in the back, around, and back down to the lower Tantian. This connection between the Renmai and the Dumai has to be closed for that circuit. Electrical circuit. I've got an electrical cord over here and I've got an electrical outlet over here. Here's the outlet over here and here's the cord over here. Ain't nothing gonna happen until I plug it in. Right? That's functionally the effect of sticking your tongue to the roof of the mouth. And again, it's just behind the teeth, up the roof of the mouth. As we do that and continue that practice and focus on breathe in, breathe out. The secondary effect is that we gain the ability to extend that focus so that even as I'm thinking about breathe in, breathe out, I'm also able to visualize that circuit that is the small heavenly circle, Qi circulation. I have the large heavenly circle and the tiny heavenly circle as well. So large heavenly circle from the Yongchuan in the base of the foot all the way up the back of the legs, around the shoulders, and back down. The heel sinks in order to pull up through the back and return down through the front. Toes grip just a little bit to pull the arch of the foot up and hold the heel and the ball and the base of the foot in place. Toes don't grip hard. It's not hard. It's down and pull in. That difference in how we hold makes a difference in what you're able to do with your feet and through the foot position. It's small, it's subtle, and if I didn't explain it, you wouldn't know because you wouldn't be able to see through my shoes. Okay? It's something that we feel. You feel it. Stick and grip. That sense of sinking and holding is the foundation for our practice. That foundation comes, again, as we develop the skill that we need, as we know this is what I'm supposed to do, right? Have to learn that first. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is how to do it. I pay attention to those simple things. As I do that, I gradually develop the habit so that I don't have to pay attention to those things. And then I can start to clear the mind, pay attention to some of the more subtle things, and be able to enhance my practice further. Right? Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. I needed to confirm something, and I am going to record it here because this is a problem. The neighbor that has moved in has brought a barking dog, and the dog has started barking. I find it intrusive, I find it rude, and I'm not going to live with their barking dog barking every day. All right, now, moving on. Getting back to practice, the dog is still barking, and I find it very distracting to try and teach while again, and I'm going to use this. Actually, I'm going to use it. I find it extremely annoying and highly distracting that there's a barking dog more or less close enough to outside my window that I don't want it there, right? It's not a block over, it's right there. And I'm here trying to teach a class about being quiet. It's early morning, it's not 8 o'clock yet. I started late this morning, but it's just now 8 o'clock. And that I wanted to say a couple things, I'm not going to. These people think that it's perfectly fine to inflict their barking dog on me every day. No, it's not fine. It's not. What do I do with that? This class, right? What do I do with that? Now, right at this second, the dog is still barking. So I had to listen for a second. And that's exactly what I was talking about when the dog started barking, was this sense that as we're practicing, and I'm going to talk about this for Qigong practice, okay? So as we're practicing, we want to work with this idea of quiet. Specifically, we're going to quiet the body, so that the movements are flexible, supple, quiet, and complete. We're going to quiet the mind, right? So quiet movement. We want that sense of quiet in the mind as well, because we want not the distractions. I don't want to have to deal with this. I really don't. And that it's intruding into my home, into my class. No, I don't want this. But it's there. What can I do? Right? What can I do? What are my options? Seriously, what are my options? We're doing this. We're doing this. If they're going to inflict their dog on me, I'm going to teach about their dog. All right? Now, what can I do about their dog? What can I do? Can I complain about it? I have done that. And I'm going to do it again this morning. I am doing it right now. I can get angry. Yeah, I'm pissed. I am. I'm pissed. This is annoying garbage. and it has to be stopped. What they're gonna, it would take 3 weeks to train the dog. It would take no more than 3 weeks to teach that dog to not bark. See? Now how to do that? You get a collar for the dog, you get a leash for the dog, and I go with the dog. And the dog starts barking. I say, no, don't bark, dog. It's okay, everything's fine. It's okay, you don't need to bark. And we go on, and the dog barks again, and I stop, and I, no, don't bark. It's okay, good dog, don't bark. And I go on again, and the dog doesn't bark. And I give the dog a treat. I said, good dog, good dog. Less than 3 weeks to train that dog to not bark. Now, I don't know how long it would take the humans over there to figure that out, and it would train them. But I will double down guarantee that any animal can be positively trained for a behavior in about 3 weeks. You have to do it regular, it has to be consistent, and you have to let the dog know that that's not the behavior it's supposed to have, that you don't want that behavior. Because the dog, you know, most animals want to do what the caregiver wants. Okay? So I don't generally think so much about ownership as they live with us and I live with them and I'm taking care of them. I have cats. So, all right, let's have, what kind of care? Am I going to yell at the dog? No, that's only going to create more distress. The dog's only going to bark more. Why is it that it seems acceptable to somebody to do this? Just, I'm going to let it out, bark. Let it out go. Now, at this moment, I'm listening. I'm listening for it. I can't hear it. I'm going to stop. And go back to what I was teaching. And this actually, I'm going to continue with what I was teaching because this only brings home what I was talking about. That as we are practicing, it's not to go off and disassociate with where we are. We want to be fully present right here, right now. Being able to do that when there are external distractions is not easy. A lot of what I learned in a public park. And I had people walk up and get in my face and stare at me. I did. It was not fun. I had people heckle me. I'm not bothering anybody, you know. And I had people come by and start heckling me. Inside the house, yeah. You know, that idea, again, of having a space, is the 4 walls, is my 4 walls, having a space that you can use for practice, having a time of day It's one of the reasons that I get up early. It's one of the reasons I try and start very early. Is that I don't want the disturbance. I don't want the daily routine. You know, at 8 o'clock-ish, people get up, they're doing things. It's a normal time of day to get things started. It is. And earlier in the morning is better for Qigong practice anyway. There's a teaching about time of day that says that from midnight until noon, this is my direction, okay? Midnight to noon, your direction is over here. All right, I'm going this way. Midnight to noon. Midnight to noon is yang rising. Midnight is the extreme of yin. Noon is the extreme of yang. This sunrise and sunset. The sun is at its highest point at noon. At 6 hours later, it's setting, or it's already set. From noon until midnight, yin is rising. Darkness becomes greater. The night increases until midnight, when we start working towards daylight again. That cycle on a 2-hour basis, so 12 to 2, 2, 3, 4, right? It's 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, okay? At 5 to 7 time period is the best one, and I'm actually visualizing a clock as I'm talking. That's why 5 and 7 are here. That is actually the best time to practice. Yang is rising. There's not too much of it, but there's plenty of it. There's still yin. Yin energies is still there. It hasn't all dissipated, but it's not overpowering. So there's much more of a balance between yang and yang is rising. Evening, yin is rising. We cultivate what we want to build while yang is rising. We don't necessarily want to, but we can cultivate while yin is rising, to build up that yin energy, to build up that emptiness. And it's a comfortable emptiness. It's the kind of feeling that you get when you're curled up with a blanket and hot chocolate, and it's winter and it's just snowed and it's so quiet. That emptiness. Build that. There's also the opportunity to work on removing some things you may not want. Yeah. We want to focus more on building and letting go rather than trying to address minor difference, but it makes a big difference in what we're doing. If we focus on what we don't want, we build that. We give that agency. We give that our focus. I have to think about this thing that I don't want. I had to think about the dog a minute ago. Well, it was intruding. I had to think about it. It was forcing me to think about it because it was there. And it was intruding into my class. I had to think about it. Did I want to? No. But I had to for a moment, and I did. Being able to address what we want to think about, keep that focus, is what we want to practice. We don't want that, I don't want this, 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 I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want that. I really don't. If that's true, why am I paying attention to it? If that's not what I want to pay attention to, why am I giving it any of my time? Why am I paying attention to it? Sometimes, like the barking dog, it's not an option. I have to. Other times, it's my choice. I want to pay attention. I don't want to pay attention to barking dog ever. I don't. I want to pay attention to this movie that I was going to watch. I want to pay attention to my shopping list. I want to pay attention. I do want to pay attention to all those things. Not right now. Right now, I want to pay attention to what I should be doing in Qigong class. And that, how do I get there? How do I get from all of the noise, all of the things, literal noise from the barking dog, as well as my own thoughts, the noise inside my own head. How do I turn that down and quiet that so that it goes away? Well, I'm going to complain again about the barking dog. Maybe it'll go away, I don't know, but it's not something I'm going to just get used to. It's not. It needs to stop. And I wanted to cultivate the quiet. Yeah, it's quiet right now. I'm still annoyed by this. My choice now, is to continue with practice or allow this to intrude. It's not going on right now, but it's still present because my emotional response is still there. I'm annoyed. What am I going to do? I'm going to finish teaching this lesson. That's what I'm going to do. The decision, I can stop class and I can go make my complaint. I can keep teaching, and that's what I've chosen to do. Right? That choice is a hard one. I'm not going to allow this, whatever it is, to interfere with my practice. I just did. I just did allow it to interfere with my practice. I don't want it to. What am I going to do about that? I'm going to use it as part of my practice. I'm using it as part of class. Here it is. And what's the benefit? What do I get from doing that? I increase my internal capability. I increase my internal strength. Not physical strength, strong. that emotional strength and that internal mindfulness, the strength to quiet the mind. I increase both of those. Feet about shoulder width apart. We're going to practice the very first set. Begin at extreme emptiness. And notice that I'm kind of wiggling my toes here. I've been standing here for a minute and I want to open this up. So that's how to do it. And I show this. So feet about shoulder width apart. As I sink right here, just bend the knees, open the hip. Notice that my back stays straight as I drop down. And it's not a big bend. It's not dry. I could go further, but the idea is just bend enough that you open the lower back, right here, the big bend, open that, and open the hip so that the torso is suspended, just like if you had a swing that had the stirrup seats. You put your legs in, and there's a little bit in the back to hold your backside, but it's mostly the stirrups that are holding up through the hip and the shoulders. And you can feel that your legs are free to move. This kind of thing is used for gymnastics training quite a bit. Okay, so there's other applications for it, but that's probably the most common one. So you want to feel that uplift. Dancers practice this. Yes, we do. All right, so that up a little bit, even as the legs bend, so that the body stays lifted and pulled up even as we settle down. Pull in through the center. This pulls in. This pulls in. Everything stays straight. So, small, very little movement. The internal connections, the pressure points, the energy centers. In this case, we want to connect the laogong in both palms with the lower dantian and with the middle dantian. I've already talked about this small heavenly circle. We're using that as well. That's combination of all of these things in practice. So, my right hand is on the outside. I'm female. Ladies, right hand on the outside. Gentlemen, left hand on the outside. The differences that we naturally have as male and female are also part of our internal energy, our internal chi. As we connect, this is what my teacher taught. Ladies, right hand on the outside, gentlemen, left hand on the outside. Everything else is the same. This is the only place that there is a difference for men and women. In the hand position, there is always a difference in how we pay attention to holding the hui yin and the area through the perineum and the scrotum. Because I have a perineum, I don't have a scrotum. Right? It's different. That's always going to be different. A little bit. Things that we have to pay attention to. Ladies, right hand on the outside. Gentlemen, left hand on the outside. As we breathe in, both hands come up to the middle dantian. As we breathe out, bend the knees, open the back, press down, return to the lower dantian. Come up again to the middle dantian and press down one more time. Now I'm going to talk about it. and the hands close. As we press down, this idea that the chi is circulating through the small heavenly circle. As I press down here, that circle is returning the chi to the lower dantian. My thumbs, here, right, hands turn over here, thumbs just against the chest, a little bit of a massage, a little bit of a press against the body. Not, this is not hard, this just touch. It doesn't have to be a touch, it can be real close, right? Just a touch. And the sense that there's something to push down. And it's a combination of out here and in here. And the inside, inside's hard to show. That sense that internally, as I breathe and press down, that chi is being pressed and returned to the lower dantian to be drawn up again through the back and down the front. 6 times. Feet about shoulder width apart. Pay attention to the breath. Pay attention to the relaxation, the flexibility, the openness as much as you can through the body. Pay attention to relaxing the mind. Focus on the breath. Ladies, right hand on the outside, gentlemen, left hand on the outside, feet about shoulder width apart, and breathe in, up to the middle dantian. Breathe out, press down. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Two more times. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Pull up through the back. And breathe out. Breathe in one more time. Hands separate. I'm talking about this thing. Down on both sides. Pull up through the crown of the head. Raise the heels and lower. Stay there. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right. This closing I just gave. So we're going to breathe in. Hands separate. Press down along both sides. Pull up through the crown of the head. Raise the heels and lower. Press down along both sides. Raise the heels and lower. Just a little bit. It's not, right? I don't want this. That's not this exercise. Different exercise. Okay? Raise the heels. Come on. No. In dance, it's releve, and yeah, I just lost my balance, so yeah. I'm up here. First position. There we go. Maybe. Yay, there we go. I'm up. Now I'm down. All right. Part of that skill is through the legs and the torso. It's not the feet. What we're doing in Qigong, here, breathe in, breathe out. Hands pressed down along both sides. Right here. Seriously, down along both sides. Push. As you push down, you want the sense that if there was something here that you were pushing against, the table, I'm going to push down, and as I push down, the response of my body is to go up. That, pull up through the back, pull up through the crown of the head by weight, as if you're suspending from the crown of the head, that your body is being held and well suspended, that you do not have to make that much effort to stand there. Everything's working, everything's holding, and no one part of the body has to do more work than the others. This holds. Right now, this is bothering me a little bit because I've been holding it, and that's how I'm standing here. This is what holds to keep me standing here, not my legs. That sense of how we move, what part of the body we're using, which parts need to move, which parts can stay still, and how we use each part is fundamental to everything that we do. If you don't know your body parts, arm, leg, right? No. Muscles and bones in the arm. What's the elbow supposed to do? I can do this. Some of that is not something that I should really be trying to do with my knee, because my knee really doesn't do quite the same movements, right? There are some things that my elbow should not do. My elbow should not bend this way, right? Push here, it's not supposed to do that. But yet, if I'm using a technique, this pull down, ward off, this goes up, this goes down. What happens to the elbow? Twist, side. If I understand what this does, what's supposed to do, I also understand what it's not supposed to do. Gives me an advantage for two things. Working on the movement itself, because nothing that I teach goes contrary to natural movement. Everything that we do is natural. We don't work on building extra muscle. We don't work on building I'm going to say the kind of muscle strength that requires less flexibility. We want more flexibility. We want all of the tendons, ligaments, muscles, and joints to work as they should. And if they're not, part of our practice gives us the opportunity to restore some of that balance. I talk about this, that balance, internal and external. That's what we want to practice. That's what we want to work for. And with the exception of noting what we don't want, this is a mistake, this is not something I want to have. We don't want to focus so much on the things that we don't want as the things that we do. So let go of what I don't want. It shows up, I don't want it, let it go. Why do I want to keep it? I don't want it. Let it go. What did I want? Bring that in. All right, one more time, 3 times. Pay attention at the end with this idea that press down as we go up. Feet about shoulder width apart. Ladies, right hand on the outside. Gentlemen, left hand on the outside. Both hands cross at the lao gong, center of the palm, and the lower dantian. Breathe in, up to the middle dantian. Don't stick that thumb out, close it. I just did. Press down. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Last time, breathe in. Hands press down along both sides, pull up through the crown of the head, raise the heels and lower. Stay there, breathe in. Breathe out. One more time, breathe in. And breathe out. That cycle of the breath at the end, we use that to do two things. One is to complete what we're doing. I've just opened up channels, meridians, I've just opened up a whole bunch of things through my entire body so that the energy can circulate, so the breath can circulate. I need to close that. I need to put away my toys. I've got my toys out. That's the 3-year-old. I got the toy box. I'm going to get all my toys out. I'm going to put the toys out all over the floor so I can play with them. Okay, good. Now, playtime's over. Got to put your toys away. Right? We do the same thing as we cycle the breath. And it's not so much to physically take something and put it somewhere else. It's to restore that sense of regular presence in whatever space we're in. So I've just spent a few minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever, practicing, working on my breath, focusing on my internal workmanship, paying attention to how I'm cycling things. Am I going to carry that with me when I finish my practice? Absolutely. Do I want to walk out of the room thinking about, let me circulate my breath? No, I don't. I don't. I want to restore where I was, or come back to, more or less, where I was when I started. If I was not feeling all that great, I want to feel a little bit better when I finish. If I had something going on that I needed to address, I want to have a practice issue. My knees bothering me, I need to look at this, I need to pay attention. I want to have done that during my practice so that I at least understand what was going on. Maybe I have corrected it. Maybe I've been able to do something through my practice that addressed what that issue was. My knee is a little stiff and I practiced a little bit and now my knee feels better. Whatever, I had something I've been worried about and I needed to just be able to set it aside for a minute, and now I feel a little bit better and I'm more ready to be able to go deal with it. That happens too. Physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, our mind, what we think, our ideas, our thoughts, our intent, all of these contribute to what we're doing in practice. We can't put them aside and say, well, they don't exist. You can't. It doesn't work that way. What do we do with them? We find a way to incorporate whatever that is. My knee's bothering me. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to work on this set of muscles so that the muscle that's really bothering me in my knee is not used as much. Technical, yeah. You can do it. It's possible. It is. I've done it. That understanding of your own anatomy gives you the ability to try to do progress. I have to start somewhere. Where am I going to go? That sense of I've learned something from my practice today. That as I walk out of here, I've finished what I've done. This is for today, I'm done. I am. And when I leave, I'm going to return to whatever it was I was doing when I came in. I'm going to keep my practice. I'm going to keep my practice. And tomorrow, I'm going to use whatever it was I learned today to build a better practice. Develop my own practice. What did I learn? How does that contribute to my own internal development, my own skills, my ability to do any number of things that are not necessarily physical movement, but are essential for practice. That concentration to let go of everything else and only pay attention to the things that belong to practice is not trivial. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. That looks trivial. What's going on inside is not. It's not. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully without the barking dog. And if it's back again tomorrow, I will digress again on what we do with annoying intrusions in our practice. And we're going to also be working on the more advanced sets, and I'll talk a little bit more about the internal workmanship, the kinds of things that depend on what I've talked about today. That if you are still working on the physical movement, I don't know how to do this movement. My body's not cooperating. I have to learn how to do this movement first. You do. You're still working on that. Trying to work on how you direct the energy through the movement is not going to happen. Right? It's not. It can as you progress, but that's not where you get to start. It won't work that way. It doesn't. It really doesn't work that way. If I could, I'd make it work that way, but it doesn't. That's just, it's not. So physical movement, we understand that, and we develop the connection between the physical movement and the breath. As we develop that connection between the physical movement and the breath, we gain the ability to focus the mind on the breathing. You're not paying attention to this movement anymore. You're focused on the breath and on that internal circulation. Once that happens, once we're able to do that physical movement, and I'm focused on the internal circulation, got the internal circulation working. Now we're going to focus on different types of circulation. And now we're going to focus on the intent behind. When I'm circulating this energy, when I'm moving, when I'm using the breath, what's my intent? What do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish with whatever it is that I'm doing? Being able to take that intent and translate it into a physical movement is part of what we develop as reaction skills. It's not something that you start with. start with understanding how to do the physical movement, refining that physical movement, connecting it with the breath, the physical breath. That's the first part. All right, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it. Thank you. This is 2023, where I'm starting new series. I appreciate your indulgence for the barking dog, and I'm going to do what I can to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But if it does, we'll have another lesson on how to deal with distractions and how to develop the skill, internal workmanship, how to develop the skill to let go of what you don't want and keep or bring in what you do. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.